Hi everyone, this is our final Flip Collaborate on integrated literacy approaches. So remember, you can choose either holistic or integrated, but you must use standalone. So here I am in module 9 and it gives you some information about your integrated literacy approach. And here's your definition here about an integrated approach. And page 616 of your e-text, there's a lovely example there about how a teacher transforms the classroom into an aquarium. So that is one example that you could use if you were going to go with this approach. I'm going to show you a couple of other approaches, or examples, sorry. So you could use the inquiry-based approach, learning centres, theme work. The aquarium is probably more of a theme work example. Oftentimes, teachers will have a look at the curriculum for their integrated approach, and then they will link up. Often it comes from a science curriculum outcome. So if I'm in the foundation curriculum at the moment, and I'm having a look here at biological sciences, and one of the outcomes is living things have basic needs, including food and water. So you might do a bit of an inquiry about living things in your classroom. You might get a class pet for a little while. You might do some observations, and that all comes into the integrated approach, because you're integrating your science in with your literacy approach. And if I have a look over here in my literacy and language outcomes, I've got some ones here that I can link up if I'm doing a writing experience. I could link up one of my outcomes here, or I could link up something about concepts about print if I was doing a particular book on living things. Oftentimes, I've seen in a classroom, students might have some butterflies, and they might watch the butterflies hatch, and then they get to release them. So that is not just a science approach, it's a literacy integrated approach as well. So that's what you could be doing in regards to the integrated approach. Also thinking about those strategies that we've talked about in regards to our writing. So you might decide to do a guided writing piece. If you had butterflies in your classroom, you might do some guided writing on the different stages that a butterfly goes through before from a caterpillar to the butterfly. So you might do that, and then you might have some children do some independent writing in regards to what they have observed. If you've got a particular pet, or you've got a plant or some seeds growing in your classroom, so there's your independent writing that you could go with. So hopefully you can see that. So it's more of integrating kind of a theme through the curriculum. And as far as resources go, you could be using your general resources such as books, or a PowerPoint presentation, a YouTube video. You could be just using your real life plants that you might be growing in your classroom. So there's some of those general resources that you could use it as an example. And when you're thinking about your assessment, you could be thinking about so your observations of the students. So that's more of your formative assessment. How are the other students? You could be questioning the students for understanding. You could also do, if you're doing a particular text, you could be doing some running records. That's an assessment tool that you could be using, an assessment resource. As far as our formative resources, if you were teaching a particular genre, you could be doing a bit of a checklist and ticking off whether students could do particular aspects of that genre, whether they included a title, whether they're starting to use punctuation. So you could be using a checklist or a rubric as a resource. So that's definitely something that you could be using for your integrated approach. Now, your integrated approach, I think I need to say, is quite an open-ended approach. And often you'll see teachers use this to gain the students' attention. They might do it for a 5-week block, or they might do it for the whole term. I remember once I did a whole circus integrated approach, had my whole classroom set up like a circus. So it's just very dependent and quite open-ended, this type of approach. So that's something to keep in mind when you're writing about it. So I'm going to leave you now in regards to those flipped collaborates. In the live collaborate, we're going to go through these approaches, not so much in detail, but how you would structure your essay in regards to comparing. So what you need to do in regards to comparing two approaches and how that would look in an essay. So I'm hoping these have been helpful. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the live collabs. Bye for now.